it's me with a super awesome, extra special Kickstarter version of I Am Fun Size today. During the Kickstarter campaign, we had the joy of meeting so many wonderful, amazing people. And one of the tiers that we offered included being a guest on the I Am Fun Size series. And I have to tell you, today's guest is one of my great finds of people, of humans during this Kickstarter campaign. Getting to be in touch with this young man has been such a joy. He's so full of life. He's so smart. He's so delightful. I can't wait for you all to meet him. And you're going to meet him right now because here we have Justin Bohm.
Hi.
So, Justin, this is your episode of I Am Fun Size, which means you get to ask any questions you want, talk about any topics we want to hit. And I am interested to see what you came up with.
Oh gosh, there's so much.
Right. Should I get a pencil and paper and start writing it down so we keep up? Before you jump into questions, would you mind if introducing yourself and kind of what you would want the world to know about you here? Because I would love for the world to get to know you the way I've been lucky enough to get to know you over the last few months.
So like you said, my name is Justin Bohm. I am currently a grad student at UMSL, University of Missouri St. Louis, for secondary education. I have been doing that for about a year and a half now. I have been really busy lately, just doing life, traveling as much as I can during a pandemic, and just enjoying life and friends and stuff. So
fantastic. I love that. I love that. Well, I love that you're in secondary education because so much of this series is about, you know, learning about ourselves and learning about life. There's so much self-discovery and falling down and picking yourself back up. And there's so much to deal with. This will probably be a great resource for you to share with your students.
You know, I feel like throughout our lives, we always are growing and changing. And I feel like one of the worst things that you can do to yourself is to stop recognizing those moments when you're changing and or when you need to change. And you'll end up, you know, kind of getting yourself stuck, like emotionally, growth wise, and you can't, you know, evolve. And, you know, there's never a point where we're complete and we're perfect because, as Hannah Montana put it, nobody's perfect. So I always say that.
I love you already for quoting Hannah Montana. And I want to really reiterate what you just said. And it's one of the things that I love about you being in education too. Jim Kwik wrote a book called Limitless, and it is basically teaching people how to learn. It's a fantastic book. Everyone should read it. It's so good. But he talks about in his book how important it is to remember that one of the biggest blocks to learning is saying, I already know that. Or I know. Yeah, I know. There's so much that we think we know that we may have experienced before, or that we may have studied in school or whatever, that we feel like, okay, well, I have a grasp on this. And it's a kind of a wound to our ego to be like, yeah, I get that. But the fact is that whenever we come at something again from a different angle, we may see something that we didn't learn before, you know? That's why ballet dancers always go back to the bar, because the basics and going back to things that you already know is really important. One of my teachers in college, his name is Billy Siegenfeld. He was a fantastic professor and has a dance company called Jump Rhythm Jazz Project. And he told me once, every year I choose one thing to learn new, whether it's a new language, whether I pick up cooking, whatever it is, because I never want to forget what it's like to be a beginner. Little bit of fun size wisdom for everybody. Never stop learning, never stop being open to learning, and never stop being open to being wrong.
Absolutely. That's actually something that I've noticed about kind of society that has really started to bug me, is that everyone thinks that their, you know, their mindset or their way of seeing things is the absolute, you know, truth, and that, you know, it's a lot harder to for people, especially with the social media world that we live in, where everything is online and you don't get like people's inflection or like, it's not a genuine conversation, that it's really hard to have a civil argument with someone on the internet anymore.
Also, I think the whole, the whole concept of cancel culture has sort of made our ability to enjoy the value of forgiveness so much smaller. I put that in a very weird way, but there has to be an opportunity for people to either change their mind or learn from their mistakes or make mistakes and not be afraid of, I'm going to lose everything because I made this mistake. We're losing forgiveness in our culture. And it's a delicate balance between holding someone accountable for something that they need to be accountable to or for, and just not offering people a chance to change. If we don't believe that there is a possibility we will be forgiven for being wrong, for making a mistake, for having the wrong opinion, whatever it is, if we don't believe that, of course we're going to double down. That doubling down on wrong because you don't want to be seen as wrong, it's a slippery slope. It's a very, very slippery slope. And incidentally, everyone, that is the worst way to handle your life in a relationship. Doubling down on stupid to save face. Just admit you're wrong and save yourself that face. One of the best pieces of relationship advice I was ever given was, it is vital. It is vital, vital, vital that you allow your partner to save face. And if you're that person who, scolds them and keeps going and keeps going and keeps pointing at it, chances are arguments will accelerate and get bigger because you're both going to double down on your opinion, and then World War III.
Yeah, I think that that's a very unhealthy thing to have in a relationship, because if you don't feel confident enough to admit you're wrong to your partner, or your partner feels like their partner admitting that they're wrong is, a sign that, this is a terrible relationship and it's toxic.
Yeah.
I think that people nowadays are too quick to jump to that space instead of work things through.
Yeah.
And
that goes for not just romantic relationships, that goes for friend relationships, family relationships with your peers at work. That goes for relationships across the board. Incidentally, before we go on, I have to plug a book. There is this fantastic new book that I read by Eric Barker called Plays Well with Others, Why Everything You Knew About Relationships is Mostly Wrong. It's a fantastic book. It just came out a few months ago. He sent me a copy. I devoured it. It's excellent. I highly recommend it. Differing opinions doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have a good relationship with someone.
People just need to be a little more receptive of each other and need to be just open their ear a little bit more and, listen.
Without forgiveness, the world is a scary, 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 sad place.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that's really important to me to convey in this series and also in the book is that you are never alone. And part of that, like you're unique, but you're never alone. And part of that means you're allowed to make mistakes, and there will be someone there who says, that's cool. Yeah, it's okay. Get up and do again.
Absolutely. You have to find your people who are your rocks. You have to find your rock collection of people these people are going to be there for you. They're going to be a part of your system. Those people are going to be supportive and accepting and understanding of everything you do, right or wrong, good or bad. I mean, not without fault. I mean, you can't, kill someone and
they would hold you. People can respect you and forgive you and still hold you accountable. Those things are not mutually exclusive.
Exactly.
Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone the behavior.
Yeah. Chemistry exists in more than just a romantic way. There's like chemistry in all types of relationships, and I think when you find the people that are going to be there for you through thick and thin, like you immediately have that connection. Yeah. My absolute best friend, still my best friend for over a decade. I want to say 2009. It's like 12 or 13 years now. My friend Rachel, we were immediately like BFFs, and yet we had completely different political views. We had completely different like kind of ideas on certain issues. And I mean, that's changed now, but back then I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be friends with this person, because like we just think so differently. But that connection was there, that was not, it was enough to overcome any disagreements that we may have had back then, and has only made our relationship stronger with every single year that's come. So she's coming over later tonight, and we're gonna drink wine and hang out on my patio. So.
Oh my God, I wish I could teleport over. That sounds like so much fun.
I would love
for you to hang with you and Rachel. Okay, developers of Overwatch, it's just been the worst tease ever that my character has a teleporter, because I've always wanted to have a teleporter. I've always wanted to have teleportation. It slays me. So if you could work on that real life technology for me, that would be awesome. Thanks. When you give someone the space to change, they can change. When you don't, when you hold them to who they've always been, and you assume that they will always be the same person that they have always been, and that this thing will always drive you crazy, you don't give them the freedom to figure out for themselves how to be a different way.
It's like they're like a huge flowering bush, and you plant them in a tiny flower pot instead of in your garden. They're not going to be able to grow and become that giant, beautiful plant that flowers every spring. Instead, they're going to stay small, and they're never going to bloom, because you're keeping them inside in a too small pot.
You're so right about, putting that flower in the tiniest pot, because it gets root bound. That's what happens. Just the roots grow round and round, and then it just kills the plant.
Exactly.
So don't root bind your friends and your family. Don't do it.
And if you put them in your garden and you let them grow, you will be able to reap those rewards, reap those beautiful blooms that they bring you.
Did you come with any questions of your own that you had for this chat?
It's just like, I could ask you everything. Like, what is your favorite color? Like,
that kind of stuff. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's, I can't pick a favorite. I'm very bad at picking favorite anythings. I guess I'm just an indecisive person, which is why if you look around this room, you can't see this right now because it's got this beautiful teal wall that my friend Carolina and I painted together. But like, if you look around this very messy office, you'll see there's every color in this room. Like, look at the Post-it wall. It's all these different colors. Like, I can't pick.
Well,
Pokemon's, I gotta get them all.
My absolute favorite is teal. Like, yeah, that a little more green for me though. I think that my place is relatively nicely done furniture wise.
Well, from what I can see here, I very much like you got the palm there, you got the yellow armchair, you got the art, you got your little aquarium. I love it.
The room is sparkling, and then you open the closet door and everything pours out. That's the rest of my house. I did actually think of a really cool question.
Oh, tell me.
You didn't start with voice acting. You started with standard acting.
Well, I started in theater. Yes.
Okay, so theater.
Yeah.
And then, so what made you want to branch out from your introductory arts realm and go into like your other things? And then what is your most favorite thing to do in terms
Great
of like
questions. It's not so much that I chose to branch out as that I just loved storytelling in all forms.
I love
and that is what acting is. You're being a storyteller. You're in the story, and you are a part of a story. So theater was where I started mostly, and it was my first love, mostly because that's what I was introduced to. Because in school, in high school, we didn't have film classes, we had theater. Everybody's got a school play, everybody's got a school choir, right?
I did that.
Exactly. And I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. But as other doors were opened to me, or as I realized, oh, I am allowed to do that. I don't have to there's no gatekeeper saying I can't, or there's no well, you don't have this experience, so you can't do it. As long as you're, good at it, it's open. Then every branch of that storytelling tree, I just wanted to get on it. And voice acting is actually the relative most recent form of acting that I have started to do. But I believe that the reason that I was able to jump in late in the game and still jump in at a certain level of ability is because of my theater training and because of my vocal training. Also because I do just silly voices around the house and I sing and I'm stupid around the house. That freedom to create a character through sound and physicality, because your physicality affects your voice, right? So sometimes in the booth, I'll be physicalizing something, even if no one's seeing me, because that physicality helps you. But I remember very, 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 very well when I was in New York and I auditioned for an opera. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go in. I mean, I'm a singer, but I'm not an opera singer. But I've never done an opera. Just go in and do it. And they cast me. And if I had said to myself, oh, I can't do opera, that's not my lane,
you wouldn't
I
even
don't
be
have
there.
those skills, right? Now, I'm not saying to everybody, if you've been singing rock all your life, go audition for an opera. But I am saying don't necessarily, there's so many things and so many people in this business and in the arts in general, and frankly in life, that will say no to you or will exclude you of their own accord. Don't be the person to exclude yourself.
It goes right back to learning something new and putting yourself in that learning position.
You got to have a little bit of discomfort. You got to have a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of something that is a little new so that your energy and your drive and all of that steps up. How to build a tiny bit of strategic discomfort in your life. And my whole next I don't want to call it adventure, whatever book, it's because it's going to be a whole thing, is largely about, it's sort of like I Am Fun Size, but it's for artists specifically. And how do you balance that desire to have stability and good relationships and all of that with your need as an artist to maintain a certain level of imbalance or discomfort.
Did you just reveal that you're writing another book?
Oh, I messed up, but yeah, that's happening. Yeah, I am starting with I Am Fun Size. That was just me getting out the first one. No, I have, let's see, there's that one. I have 3 more books in my head planned. Well, not in my, I mean, planned out on paper, and also in my head. So every now and then something will pop up and I'll be like, oh, you better write that down for that one. And oh, you better write that down for that one. It's just, I'm trying to give myself the freedom to understand I can't do it all at once. Like you can do everything, you just can't do it all at once.
I really love your comments on comfort being the enemy of creativity. There's a lot of projects that I have wanted to start that have been in my head, some of them for half a decade. And I just haven't ever gotten them off the ground because like what we've talked about, like I can't do that well, or that's not going to turn out the way that I think it's going to turn out, or things like that. And then also when I sit down at my computer, because a lot of it's like, writing or photo editing or just doing things on the computer, it's like I could do that stuff and it would be, work and, making my brain like run. Or I could just boot up a video game and play that for like 3 hours and fill up all my time and just fill my brain with dopamine. And it's like, sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say that is like such a absolute dream killer, because all your time and like I will say right now I'm having a revelation that like if I want to do those things, I need to like just start doing them.
All right, you beautiful people, send me your stuff. You can email me at anjali@iamfunsize.com. These are all of the places you can find me on the interwebs. Please send me questions, pictures, fan art, cosplay pictures. Send me pictures of puppies. You know how I love the puppies. Oh, please, more puppies. Can I please? Please, guys, please.